Hey guys, Jay Metcalf here from BetterSax.com with another episode of Great Sax Solos. Today we're looking at the solo by David Sanborn on the James Taylor recording of How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. Now this is a perfect example of soloing effectively in a pop genre. This sound is exactly what you'd want to hear in this. It's got lots of edge, it's bright, it's in your face, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful, rich saxophone sound. The phrasing is right there. You've got the bluesiness, the laid back sort of jazz feel, and it's extremely melodic. And I want to show you this trick that you can add to your playing very quickly that'll allow you to sound more like David Sanborn and other great saxophone players when they're playing over pop songs with simpler harmonic structures. I've transcribed this solo and written it out for alto saxophone and tenor saxophone or soprano saxophone. You can find it in the BetterSax shed, which I've linked below. That's where you'll find all my free downloadable resources. Head on over there, sign up for it, and knock yourself out. Download all the lessons, play through everything, have fun. And the trick is very simply playing the blues scale that starts on the 6th scale degree when you're in a major key. For this tune, we're in the key of G major, concert. So if we play our E blues scale, that gives us this sound that is bluesy yet major at the same time. Another way to think of this, which is kind of what's going on inside my brain when I'm playing tunes, is thinking of it as your major pentatonic scale with the addition of the flat third. So it would be the same as playing our G major pentatonic scale, which would be G, A, B, D, E, but with the addition of that flat third, the B flat in there. I've written all this out in concert, E flat and B flat transposition for you in the download if you're confused hearing me speak in concert pitch. Now, perhaps the most challenging part of playing this song is the high G he plays. It is the climax note. Often in pop sax solos, you will find that the climax of the solo is somewhere, about 80 to 90% of the way through. So if you want to play effective pop sax solos, yes, it's important to have some altissimo notes. I'm actually using this mouthpiece. This is a Aaron Drake mouthpiece that is a direct copy of David Sanborn's actual Dukoff mouthpiece. So this is the David Sanborn Drake mouthpiece, and it's actually killer. Now I'm playing on the BetterSax alto saxophone. This is a brand new alto saxophone that has just come out. It costs $649. You can get it on BetterSax.com. I've linked to this in the description below as well. And this has become my main alto. Because it just plays fantastic. And, part of my mission here is to show everybody watching you don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to sound great. So let's listen to me play through the whole solo, and then I'll quickly break down each section for you. So that first phrase, da-da-da-da-da, it's pure major pentatonic scale. We're in the key of G, and that's starting on the 3rd. It's right out of your major pentatonic scale, very melodic. But he ends that phrase with this classic, public domain blues phrase. Ba, ba, ba. It's almost like the jingle at the beginning of all my BetterSax videos, isn't it? Ba, ba, ba. Ba, da, ba, ba, ba. So you can think of that as coming out of your blues scale starting on the 6th, or you could think about that as just a minor triad superimposed over the major chord, the G major chord, putting a G minor triad over that. And that's a great sound to have at the ready in your bag of tricks to use when you want to get a quick blues inflection or blues sound in your soloing. Now this next phrase, let's think of it as coming out of that blues scale starting on the 6th, right? So if this is our E blues scale, we're starting on the flat 7 and we're playing chromatically from the flat 7 up to the root. Da, 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 da. And then it's just right out of that blues scale. Ba, da, 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 ba. Classic. So you could just kind of extract this one little phrase, this one little nugget, and that is a blues lick you can kind of use anywhere. This particular line is super interesting because it's all triplets, but he's accenting every other note. So that's kind of a 3/2 rhythmic effect, which can be very cool. Now this next phrase, we've already heard it, right? Ba ba da da ba ba. It's very much like that, the end of that first phrase. So there's some repetition. Again, this is sort of like a public domain blues lick, so feel free to add that to your arsenal of your ammunition of lines to use when you want to sound bluesy. You can kind of fit that in a lot of places. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 da ba ba ba. Again, we're in that E blues scale over in the key of G. All the notes come out of that blues scale, and we hear that same lick. Ba ba ba. Now we're getting to the climax of this solo, and we have this D major chord, and again he plays a D minor triad over that D major chord. So we're sticking kind of with this theme, with this motif of this minor triad over the major triad. And as we're getting up higher in the higher register of the saxophone, the sound is really in your face. It's, there's a little bit of a growl in there. There's a lot of edge. And then this last phrase is basically straight up blues scale, ending on the root, on the G. So try it out. Try taking a song like this, How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, that stays very much in G major, and try playing a blues scale that starts on the major 6, and you'll get that sound, that bluesy yet major sound, which works great and gets you away from this sound of just like sticking the blues scale of the key on top of that. You can still do that, but this gives you an alternative sound to maybe mix in, so your solos aren't going to sound as monotonous as if you were just sticking with one group of notes. Now, whenever you're doing this sort of thing, whenever you're kind of taking a scale, and I don't like to think of, for the purposes of learning this stuff, we say this is a scale, we're using this scale here or this other scale here. And we are, but it's not always a great idea to be thinking that way when you're performing, when you're creating your solos. I prefer to think more melodically, because if you're thinking of playing a scale, and the way we practice scales is, play it up and then play it back down, you're inevitably going to, your soloing is going to sound like you're playing a scale up and down and trying to just maybe start and stop in different places. So what's better is to, transcribe solos like this, learn them by ear, or even by reading them, but kind of see how certain notes work in different places and how melodies are constructed, and picking up on patterns, on phrasing that you're going to hear played by lots of different musicians, whether it's saxophone players or piano players or guitar players. You're going to be hearing some of these same little nuggets of phrases. That is vocabulary. That is the language. And yes, we can say this comes out of this scale or this comes out of this chord, but it's really the melodic idea which is more important. and the scales and the music theory part of it, while that helps us understand and maybe write it down and explain it, that's not always the full story or the complete pictures. And you will find if you just play this blues scale starting on the 6th and you just kind of force that over the top of things, it might not always sound like David Sanborn on this recording. So just be aware there's some nuances. Yes, those are the notes, but it's more than just playing a scale up and down. It's thinking melodically, it's having the vocabulary already in your ear, and that comes from a lot of listening and transcribing. Now, if improvising with the blues scale is new to you, I encourage you to check out my Blues Foundation course and also the Blues Language course available on BetterSax.com, where we learn all about how to build your blues scales, how to improvise using the blues scale. There's lots of exercises and backing tracks in all keys with both of those courses. If you're entirely new to improvising, though, and you don't know what a pentatonic scale is yet, I encourage you to first take my free Play Sax by Ear crash course, linked in the description below, or my Pentatonic Foundation course. Let me know what you think of the sound of the BetterSax alto saxophone, which only costs $649. I'm loving playing on this horn. I hope you enjoyed this quick little episode I recorded in my practice room at home. Be sure to subscribe and click that like button if you haven't already. See you again very soon in another BetterSax video.